Well, hello. I'd like to welcome you to something a little bit different. I filmed a video actually this morning because I was late on it. I was going to review this pen, which is a Inco Polish pen. And as I was editing the footage together, I just thought, ooh, you were just a little bit off. So, I thought all day, because I have been working all day, even though school's out, I've been working. I thought, I'm going to get home, I'm going to refilm that review and do it right. But I had the idea today. I've kind of collected a Q&A list and just decided, you know what? I feel like answering it. So that's the focus I decided to take tonight. So, it's quite lengthy. I will try to put a link in the video description to my Evernote page on that sort of summarizes my answers because I feel like it's too long to fit into the video description. So, first question, and these are amalgamated. I took a lot of questions and kind of put them together this time, kind of differently than I did the last Q&A I did. So, hopefully it works. I don't know. So, first question I have is, how many pens do I own? I don't know. Too many. But I will say I have I did do a video which overviewed my collection at Christmas time. A few more pens have been added since then, but not a lot. So I'll try to put a link to that into my Evernote page, or maybe in the video description, I don't know. Or maybe, hey, I can put links up there too, so I'll do one of those. I don't know what. But yeah, too many. People send me pens too now, which is kind of cool and kind of scary. Another question I had is, how do I find these strange pens? Well, to tell you the truth, most of them I buy on eBay or Etsy. I've bought a few of my vintage pens from myuberpens.com, which is a good website if you want a fully restored vintage pen. Peyton Street Pens, although I think I've only bought one or two from them. I bought one or two from Anderson Pens. They're around. But I think the question isn't so much about where I buy them, it's more about how do I find. Because I buy weird stuff like Inco from Poland in the 1950s. Who's heard of that? Well, one of my things is I search by country sometimes. I learned that a particular brand is made in a particular country, and I think, okay, I can deal with that. Sometimes I'm gambling. Sometimes I actually get recommendations because eBay, whatever its algorithm is, has finally figured out how I operate. And eBay has started recommending things. Like, I was just recently recommended a Katab, which I may be mispronouncing. And I thought, never heard of that. I checked it out. It's a Palestinian pen maker. Some confusion over whether it may be actually, whether it's native to Palestine or whether it's Anyway, I'll get into that when I get the pen, but anyway, Katab. Very cool. New one on me. Another pen reviewer, ODE, Objetos de Escrito, sent me a Feliz Academica. It was a Portuguese pen. Awesome! I enjoy finding these strange pens. I keep thinking, one of these days I'll find an African pen of some kind, or a South American pen, or, some country I never thought of, like Palestine. It is always a gamble. If you have a retailer you trust, you know what to expect from them. That's me and myuberpens.com, which pay for that. Sometimes you just have to go out on a limb and realize that you may get something that is not usable. And I have a couple of them floating around. And always get comfortable with cleaning and fixing pens, because if you delve into the market I do, sometimes the pens are not so great. If you see me looking down a lot, that's because I've got my camera here mounted right above the screen, which is where all the questions are written. So I'm trying to be all high-tech and stuff. How do I keep track of what's inked and with what? I write it in a notebook. I have a... Nope, don't see it over there. I thought it was within easy grabbing distance, but it's not. I have a notebook anyway that I keep... every time I ink up a pen, I write down the name of the pen, I write down the name of the ink, I write down the date, and I write down some scribbles. And that works okay, except if I'm looking for long-term trends, or if I'm looking for how often have I inked up this pen, or how often have I used this ink. Not so good for that. But if I want to just say what's inked right now, I can open up my pen case and know what ink is in each pen. Ideally, I suppose I would have it on a spreadsheet so I could search Inko and then know how many times it's been inked, because I don't have that. So yeah, limitation to paper. Paper is not the be-all and end-all of all things pen. One of the things that's come up several times is the difference between everyday carry, daily writer, and workhorse pens. I'm going to give you my definition. This is how I define the terms, not necessarily the official way they're defined. Everyday carry, what I carry with me every day. Daily writer, what's the pen that's my primary writing pen when I just want to write stuff? Not worried about frills, not worried about flex, not worried about all that stuff. I just want to write. For me, that's Lamy 2000, by the way. And then workhorse pen. To me, a workhorse pen is a reliable, good pen for writing. May not necessarily fit into everyday carry or daily workhorse, or I'm sorry, daily writer. Why do I do videos on pens? Because I love to write. I have gobs and gobs of notebooks filled with my writing. Pens specifically, I fell in love with fountain pens back around 10 years old. My family received some junk mail. This is the 80s, so it wasn't email or anything. It was junk mail. But it was a pen catalog. I couldn't even tell you what company it was. But page after page of these glorious pens. I'd never heard of a fountain pen before, but I was so fascinated. I thought they were so beautiful, so cool looking. And so out of my range. I ultimately never ordered from that catalog. But I did stop at the store at our mall in Harrisburg, because I didn't live in Harrisburg. But when we went to the mall in Harrisburg, we always went to the Colonial Park Mall. There was a store called the News Center, and they had a stationery section. And I purchased a Parker Vector. The cartridges with it were Parker Quink Washable Blue, which back then I thought black was the only ink to go, but had no choice. And anyway, a love affair was born, and since then, I've always written with fountain pens, starting at age 10. So that's why I do a channel on pens. Yes, I have other interests. You will start to see them. The driving videos are one of the ways I express them. My productivity series is one. You may have heard my passion about teaching. You've probably heard some of my political or religious things, but pens just seemed like a natural fit for me that I could do a weekly show on pens. So that's why I went with a pen channel. Of course, as many pens as I have, you might ask, well, what do I do for a pen rotation? Well, if you saw my script, it says ha 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 ha, and I guess I just giggled without looking at the script. The truth is, I don't have a system. I just, oh, look, there's a nice pen. I'm going to go with that one. Oh, yeah, I haven't written that one in a while. Hey, yeah, I like that one. And then the other half of it is, oh, I'm going to review this one. Oh, I need to ink this one up for a first impression. So that's how I pick the pens I like. Over time, especially if I had a good way to track it and follow trends, it would emerge that, oh, you don't use this pen. But I'm not organized or tracked well, so there's where I am. I wrote the words currently inked. I think I actually described this earlier. The way I track what's currently inked is I just have a running notebook where I track the pen, the ink in it, the date I inked it up, and a couple scribbles. As I said before, you can't track long-term trends with that. Now, an interesting question I had was about getting rid of pens. Because we all get rid of stuff, right? I prefer the term editing the collection. I think of like Michelangelo's David. He's the naked guy with the slingshot over his shoulder. Anyway, David was carved out of marble by Michelangelo, and the whole idea there was Michelangelo says that David was there all along. He just removed the excess. And ideally, I think that's how a pen collection or a collection of any kind would be, is you're just removing the fluff, the excess, and keeping the true wonderfulness. I struggle a bit with that because of sentimentality. I have a few pens I don't really like that I keep just because sentimental attachment. But yeah, if it's a good pen, I don't want to use it. I try to give it away. I'm actually putting together. I'll figure it out towards the end of the month, but I'm putting together a giveaway, and there are going to be at least 2 vintage pens with those fun Bach nibs that'll be part of that giveaway. I don't like to give away junk. I like to give away decent pens. And then I have a whole pile of pens you can't see because they're off screen, but they're over that way, that were given to me with the idea of giving them away. So some of them may appear in this big pen giveaway also. But yeah, I think it's important to edit your collection. I always think how wonderful it would be just to have a small set of pens that you use all the time. But then other times I enjoy just saying, oh, what do I want to use today? Oh, I haven't used this in a long time. Wow, this is fun. It's like an adventure. So, 2 minds about that, I guess. There were some questions about money. In a previous Q&A, I mentioned how I paid for it. I really don't want to answer it again, and I feel like I shouldn't have answered it the first time. But I'm going to take a new tack on that money question. Is this pen worth it to me? Is this pen worth what they're asking? Will I pay that for this pen? That's a good question. A pen I really want right now is a Platinum Izumo. I did a video about top 10 Grail pens or something like that over Christmas. Anyway, Platinum Izumo was one of them. Oops, sorry, didn't mean to do that. That pen, if I could probably pick my ultimate pen, my dream pen, my Grail pen right now, probably a Platinum Izumo. But I can't talk myself into paying that price for it. When I recently purchased that Katab, that Palestinian pen, there was another one for sale from a more reputable dealer. But I said, oh, no, that's too much for an unknown. So I went with the unknown dealer, and I'm hoping for the best. It just comes down to, is it worth it to you? I don't value clothes. I think I went through that in a recent Pens in Use. Basically, my clothes shopping happens when I say, oh, shoot, I don't have any pants left, or whatever. It doesn't happen on a regular, ongoing basis. I don't have a closet burgeoning with clothing. It's just not a thing for me. Used books, I get excited about. Furniture, clothing, cars, meh. Driving a 19-year-old Toyota Camry. The only reason it ever crosses my mind to replace that 19-year-old Toyota Camry is that fear that it'll break down, leave me cold somewhere. I don't care that I'm driving a 19-year-old car. It's all in what you value. I love pens. I will happily spend money on pens. That's my thing. I don't know. So I don't know if that... Well, I know that didn't answer the money question, but I don't know if that answered even the spirit that I suggested, but I tried. You're not supposed to say tried either. So, I answered it the way I wanted to. There we go. Favorite try or try not. There is no. Do or do not. There is no try. There we go. That's Yoda's advice. Of course, you always get those questions if you're in this business of, what's your favorite pen? What's your favorite ink? Okay, hard to pick a favorite. Favorite for what? Favorite for daily writer? Favorite for flourishes? Favorite vintage pen? I don't know. Daily writers? Lamy 2000. And yeah, I love those vintage Bach nibs. I really love that Kaweco V14S. In fact, I made the remark in that review, and I still believe it's true. If I had that Kaweco V14S, I probably never would have bought that Lamy 2000. As far as inks, again, favorite for what? Daily writing, gorgeousness. Lamy Black is my chosen black. Although lately I've been writing Pelikan 4001 Brilliant Black. Noodler's Black Swan and Australian Rose is a really attractive ink. Sailor Gentle Epinard is a good, very good ink. Stipula Saffron. Really? Do I need a favorite ink or pen or anything? Actually, I only included this question because I don't have a conclusive answer to it, mainly because I wanted to transition or segue to questions about ink. So as for the ink, I've had a few good ink questions. One of the obvious ones is how much ink I have. I'm scared to count the number of bottles. I will say I might have over a gallon of ink total. Yipe! Truthfully, I will probably not use up all the ink I have, although I will use up a few bottles this year. And yes, mostly it is bottles at the moment. I will say samples are a wonderful thing. My trouble with samples is a lot of them are just meh, which, yeah, great. I'm glad I got a sample of that one. And then you get those couple of stars, and you're just like, whoa! And then the company is out of them, or it's discontinued them. Birmingham Pens Allegheny River Twilight. That would be one of the ones I just like, I want a bottle, but I can't get one. But samples are good because you do get to try them out. And honestly, you're not going to use up most of your bottles of ink. Yeah, there ends the ink questions. As far as paper, I'm going to break that up a little bit because I was asked about favorite paper, but I've also gotten favorite notebook questions. I thought those are slightly two different questions. So my favorite paper, we're just going to go with loose paper. No question, Tomoe River paper. That is amazing. It shows shading. It does not feather except with a few extreme inks. It's just glorious. I will also say I like Kokuyo paper. I don't think it's a standard US size. I think it's a standard Japanese size, but I like that one. As far as notebooks, I have a real hard time with that. So I'm just going to give you a few favorites. Of course, I love the looks of Cognitive Surplus and Bomo Art Journal. Paper in those isn't quite the best. I've been very impressed with the Baron Fig paper. Not so much with the appearance of the notebook. I recently purchased another myoberpens.com. Was it Myober Notebooks? Something like that. Anyway, they also sell notebooks. I just recently purchased one, and they actually have a lot of good features for writers that influenced me to re-investigate them. Apica, especially the expensive Apica, have really incredible paper. So, yeah, I don't know if I could really tie myself down to one particular favorite. Another question is, what about lined, blank, grid, dotted, or French? It's been kind of a recurring theme that somebody comments every few weeks that, you shouldn't be doing your writing in these lined journals because it constricts your writing, and you seem to be a broad nib person. Well, when I use a broad nib, I guess I am a broad nib person, but of the options, I don't like French ruled journals. But after that, it kind of depends on the purpose. To write, I don't need lines. Any of my pen pals will tell you I write on blank paper. I don't even use anything to underlay the paper. I just write, and I keep in reasonably, not perfectly straight lines. But when I do diagrams or math or graphs or those kind of things, yeah, some kind of guide like a grid or a line or dots is helpful. But whatever I use, I want it to disappear after I write. What I experimented with a few years ago with my students is I said, hey, here's a really dark grid that you can put under a piece of blank printer paper, use it as graph paper, take it away, and then you have a readable graph. Kids didn't take that too well, but yeah, that's kind of my own personal idea. Had a few questions about YouTube shows. I'm sorry, doing YouTube or doing shows or whatever. So let me hit a couple of them too. What the heck? A big theme was, how do you start YouTubing? Well, my answer comes from Nike. Just do it. That's what I did. I had a Noodler's Nippon set. I dithered about it for a year because I had some pens. And I had this Noodler's Nippon set, and Stephen Brown did a video that pretty much said the same thing, and I just thought, yeah, let's just do it. I did it, haven't looked back since. You got to do it. Once you break through and do it once, you need to be consistent. You need to do it again and again. People need to trust that, every week I'm going to get a video from this guy. Ideally, they can trust that certain times they're going to get it. Failed that one this week. Been failing that one a lot just lately. But yeah, be consistent. Keep doing those videos. If they can't count on you, they're not going to be interested in pursuing you. Watch your own videos. Your first ones are just going to be bad. Admit it. Accept it. Learn from it. And even your good ones, what made them good? What could be improved in them to make them even better? And you will consistently become a better YouTuber over time. I know that's worked for me. I am not one of the great pen reviewers of YouTube, but I'm a much better pen reviewer than I was when I started this process. Why? Because I look at what I do. I read the comments, but you got to take some of them with a grain of salt. But some of them contain really good advice. Of course, watch other people too, but one big thing I think is, would you watch you on YouTube? Beginning me? No, I wouldn't watch him. Me now? Maybe. Put up with him. I'm getting better, but not there yet. And you don't need fancy equipment. If you have a cell phone, you're doing better than my first equipment. I mean, look at my early videos. You can make a YouTube video with what you have, probably. And watch out for the verbal fillers. Okay. Huh. All those things we say while we're gathering our thoughts, just gather your thoughts. Because you'll get viewers who will count. Well, you said, 23 times in a 16-minute video. Well, yeah, that's a little nitpicky, but at the same time, they've got a point. So you got to watch out for those. I just did it. That wasn't even intentional. I've had a few questions about the green screen. That's not going away, but funny thing, I moved upstairs just temporarily so I could clean out the basement for my parents visiting, and that turns out they're not going to visit when they said they would because they're having car troubles. So the basement is cleaned out. But while filming upstairs, I discovered that, yeah, I really prefer filming up here. And so, yeah, I'm going to be continuing filming up here. I loved that it was out of the way downstairs. But especially in the winter, there's just something about going downstairs into the cold and dark, and you're just thinking, yeah, it's not really home. And there's nothing personal about a green screen. It's all, here's the pen. Here's whatever I put behind me. Here you can see my cheap Shopko curtains, which our local Shopko is now closed because the company went out of business. You know, you could see my life. It's just more personal. So, yeah, I have abandoned that. But I'm not abandoning green screen because there is power to green screen. And that's if you're going to interact with it or if there's a point to the green screen. One point, if I can interact with it. And I'm looking at a series on productivity and organization that will use it. That's good for it. I think there's some value in saying, look, there's the pen I'm reviewing. But most of my videos, I realized I'm just showing the pen anyway, so you don't need that. So it'll be there, just when it adds value. Other shows I do, that was another question about some of the shows. Driving videos, those are videos where I shared research and overlaid that research with video from the dash cam on my car. Those are going to start back up soon. I have footage of, really snowy footage of a trip to Dickinson, where ironically I bought my cell phone. And very soon, in fact, about 2 weeks, I will be traveling. I'll be traveling up to Minot, North Dakota, and I'm not taking the interstate to that. The week after that, I'm going to Fargo, North Dakota. My plan is on the way to Fargo, mostly interstate, sorry, but I'm going to be filming some fun footage on the way. I'll leave that as a surprise when that eventually appears. And then after both of those trips, I plan definite footage. The Minot trip is going to be personally meaningful because we're going to visit some towns where I used to teach. And I'm super excited about that. Yes, I have a past. Was it last winter I did a series of note-taking videos? I actually had a comment about that today that I haven't responded to yet. Yeah, I'm open to new ideas in that note-taking series. I'd like to do more with it. I just kind of ran dry on it. The person that commented talked about electronic note-taking and how confusing it was. And in some ways I agree, but in some ways I am reading, not out of a notebook. I'm reading my notes for this video off of a computer screen that's located a few inches below the camera that I wrote with Evernote. I think there's room for both. But I also think, in response to this person, there's also room for a note-taking video on electronic versus paper note-taking. So, I just thought of that just now, so I won't promise when or if, but I feel like that's a video idea getting written down in my video ideas list. I'm working on a series on productivity. So far, it's just in the form of notes, but it's coming. And then I also do an IGTV video every week, although I failed just the past couple of weeks. IGTV is kind of a wild animal because it's a vertical format, but it's been a good opportunity to, first of all, edit myself down to 10 minutes on a topic, but also to compare pens. I have quit doing those pen rodeos I used to do on this channel every so often where I'd compare different pens, and that has become IGTV, my Instagram channel. Don't make any money on it, but it's been interesting. Let's just leave it at that. Actually, not in my notes, but one of the things I thought of while I was taking a break there to get a drink and kind of wet my throat, I have done a few live streams. I haven't done any lately, but I feel like that's something else I need to do. This almost was a live stream tonight, but then last night I thought, no, you've been just kind of dry today. There's a lot of smoke in the air, and I just thought, yeah, you'll be interrupting yourself too much to drink water, so I didn't. But yeah, I need to do a few more live streams. I don't know. They don't get huge numbers, but it's a fun opportunity to just interact with viewers real time. And I don't have the kind of viewers who are going to ask me crazy questions just to try to embarrass me. So I need to do some live streams again. But the last topic I had on the YouTube subject was multiple channels. I've done some user polls about that. I have a community tab on the channel. Should I spin certain things off to other channels? The consensus among the people who've responded. Sorry, I'm getting hiccups. Just a second while I deal with that. Okay, the general consensus among viewers who have responded to those surveys has been keep it all in one channel because we're watching for you. And I'm of two minds about that. I just keep coming back to this person says, wow, what an amazing video of driving through North Dakota. And then he watches the next video I upload saying, what the heck is this fountain pen business? Or vice versa. So I'm still torn about that. I haven't come to a good conclusion. I don't know where I'm headed with that. I do know it's important to be careful you don't overload yourself with too many videos. Until I become a full-time YouTuber, I do have a regular job as a teacher, and it eats a lot of my time. So, one of those things I just have to figure out. Some of the other questions I've been asked. Why do I live in North Dakota? Well, that's a good question. Sometimes I ask myself that same question. I'll give you a partial answer. When I was younger, I wanted to move to North Dakota. Why? I want to say it's because I read a book called Prairie School. It was, I'm just trying to read the title from way too far away and I can't make it out. The author is Lois Lenski. Anyway, she wrote about a place just south of North Dakota, in the very northern end of South Dakota, and quite near where I live now, actually, about a one-room schoolhouse. And I read that when I was in first grade, had my tonsils out, and it's just always been in my mind ever since to move to the Dakotas. So I thought in college, damn it, live the adventure. You're only young once. If you stay in Pennsylvania, because that's where I'm from, you're going to get tied down, and you're not going to go out and do new things. So I took my own advice, and by the way, that is advice I give to anybody. Do it. You'll always regret not doing it. So I did it, and here I am now. Now, would I make that same choice now? I got to be careful how I answer that. So what I'm going to say instead of whether I would make that choice now, although if you know me, I think you know what the answer is. I am who I am right now because of those choices I made when I was younger. If I wouldn't have made those choices, I wouldn't be who I am. Those choices made me question myself. They opened my eyes. They opened my mind. So do I regret it? Actually, no. Now, that's not the same answer as would I make the same choice knowing what I know now. But, yeah, do that adventure. You can always say, oh, no, I don't like it. I'm going back. But do it. Don't shelter yourself at home. If you've got a vision, go for it. You can always later say, well, that was a failure. But it's better to fail than to say, gosh, I wish I would have tried that. I wish I would have tried moving to North Dakota. I wish I would have tried opening that business I've always dreamed of. Bet I could have had a better life then. You won't know unless you try it. I say try it. I would rather say, I really regret moving to North Dakota than to say, boy, I wish I would have tried moving to North Dakota. And by the way, the answer is not, I really regret moving to North Dakota. That is not true at all. Does it match me now? No. But I don't regret doing it. I am so glad I did it. That is one of the wisest decisions I made as a young man, to go on the adventure. And I want you to do that adventure too. Do it. Especially if you don't have anybody else you're responsible for, do it. Take that adventure. You might have learned a bad lesson from that adventure, but you're not going to regret taking that adventure. So do it. Now, will I stay in North Dakota? When I retire from teaching, I doubt it. But I will always be glad I took this adventure. So I'm always going to have a story to tell that makes me unique and makes me Wasky Squirrel and not every other graduate of a teaching college in the United States. I am unique because I chose that adventure. And I chose the experiences I had. And they made me the man I am now, for better or for worse. So yeah, do it. This is the random part of the video, so we're going to jump to an entirely different subject. Handwriting. A few people have commented on my handwriting. Please visit with my high school. Actually, let's be more specific, although I won't be mean and give you her name. Although I could tell you exactly where she lives, because I went to a small school just like the one I teach in. Speaking of things I need to try teaching in a large school. But anyway, ask my 7th grade English teacher about my handwriting. She threatened me with a lot of quality time with her one-on-one after school learning how to write. That said, I have worked on my handwriting a bit since then. What I use is what I call a modified form of Spencerian handwriting. Electronic solutions. I do not remember what the questions were behind that, but I have my answers here, so I'll go with the answers. I love Evernote. I use Evernote a lot. If you ever look at my high-resolution writing samples, most of them are on Evernote. But in fact, this Q&A is on Evernote. I am learning more about Notion. I've linked it in a few videos. I see a lot of potential there. I don't think the product is quite there yet, though. But I see a lot of potential for some of the stuff I do moving to Notion. Daily, I use Todoist. What a wonderful piece of software. And I'll talk about that on my productivity series when I get there. That's a to-do list piece of software. But it has served me so much better than the paper to-do lists of old. I use a piece of software called Drafts. which actually couples with Evernote for part of this. Drafts is a wonderful piece of software for collecting information. I love, now that I own a cellular telephone, I can talk into it and it'll write it down. So if I come up with an idea, I can say, I can talk into Drafts. It'll put it all down, and then it'll move it to wherever I want it. Oh, I want it in Evernote. Oh, I want it in Notion. I don't think there's a shortcut for that. Oh, I want it in Todoist. I want it in Ulysses. It'll do that. Now, I always carry my pocket notebook, but Drafts really fills in a lot of ways for that pocket notebook in a lot of settings. And I'll just add that I had a conversation with a colleague today about, when you come up with these ideas in the middle of the year, what do you do with them? How do you find them at the end to actually put them into practice? The trick is, every day, I record them into Evernote. I had a whole notebook, anyway, whatever, in Evernote, physical science notes, yearbook notes, Science Olympiad notes. Yes, as I started going through them, now that the school year's over, I've discovered, you repeated the same idea quite a bunch of times. Which, first of all, tells me that, hey, this is such a good idea, you had it multiple times. But second of all, it allows me to curate everything, because there it is. And yeah, I've already written up some of this stuff and organized it. Absolutely, I love that. Paper form, not so easy. Paper is more the final form. I've started getting into Ulysses, which is a Mac-only product, but it's just a very good text editor. I do a lot of stuff with LaTeX. I love that for formatting math formulas, especially. But also just makes stuff look good on the page. But, for electronic stuff, you need to find the right option for you. Operating system-wise, how you work-wise, find the right balance with paper. Like I said, I always carry that paper notebook in my pocket. You need to work that out for you. Sorry, I had to break that off to take another sip. I'm really losing my voice now, but not even sure how long I've been filming. But anyway, electronic, high-tech doesn't mean you get rid of paper. The right tool for the job, and sometimes the right tool is electronic. I've had a few questions about sponsors. People have mentioned things about, do you have a discount code for this retailer? Or, things like that. Answer is, I have none. I have no discount codes. I have no sponsors. I've never done any of that. Any money I make off of this channel comes purely from the advertising. From a business/entrepreneurial perspective, making the wrong choice. I would be open to it if a vintage pen maker was interested in sponsoring me, but by vintage, of course, we'd have to involve time travel, so probably not going to happen. I don't do what I do on YouTube for money. The money is a nice bonus to it, but this is a money loser for me if we look at it purely from a business perspective, because I buy pens to review. Now, probably I'd buy those pens anyway, but the truth is I'm losing money doing this. What I'm doing is sharing something I enjoy. I enjoy these vintage fountain pens. Like I said, I would probably be buying them even if it weren't for this channel. That said, and I'm having trouble looking you in the eye for this, I did one video for a pen that was sent to me. I can't even remember the brand. It was somebody's name. Anyway, I was miserable doing that video. Hated it. And won't do that again. Yes, I see some of the pens that some of the reviewers get to review, and I just think, I would love to try that out. But I just remember that feeling. So, no, I don't get any money for this. I'm not even an Amazon affiliate. There are options to make more money. I don't know if fountain pens are the right avenue for that. I could do something else with this channel. I've thought about some educational type videos. My productivity organization series that's upcoming, it has some potential. But really, I want to keep it fun. That's why I'm doing this. I enjoy this. I mean, why am I sitting here, however long I've been sitting here, talking about fountain pens to the point that my throat is running dry? Because I enjoy them. I'm kind of scared now that I say that. How long have I been sitting here? So I'm not going to look. But you know, because you have the video, you're watching it. There have been a couple of questions about politics on the channel. It's not a political channel. This is a mainly pens channel. But I've started to theme it more pens in use. And we use pens for a lot of things. There's where the old saying, pen is mightier than the sword, comes from. I do quotes. You can probably guess some of my politics just from the quotes I choose. Every pen review, not first impression, but review, has a quote. Yeah, I lean left-wing in my politics. You can tell that. But this is not a political channel. This is not my focus. Some of the topics I pick for the driving videos, the research, probably come across very left-wing, but that's who I am. I may make a left-wing joke from time to time, but again, that's who I am. But that's what this channel is. It's a pen channel, and it's run by a real person, not a robot. And I'm sorry, but if we express ourselves... Sorry, I just had to move that back a little bit. If we express ourselves, our views are going to come out. Whether explicitly or implicitly, they come out. So, yeah, that's pretty much where it's going to stay on this channel. If I wanted to do a politics channel, I'd probably start something totally new. And honestly, I'd get really bored because a lot of politics and all that stuff is just a bunch of drama drummed up by people trying to get you to tribalize into one side or the other. And they don't even recognize that there's more common ground than there is differences. That was political. Okay, and then my last topic of questions was about the future of the channel. I have a friend right now, not the one who almost died this winter, a different friend. Although maybe that friend who almost died this winter too, soon, but a friend who's now in a nursing home. And admittedly, when you're in your late 80s, that becomes more of a possibility. But this is somebody who was very independent their whole life, very strong-willed, very strong-minded, definitely did not appreciate the left-wing side of me at all, but has been dealing with some health issues and is at the point where they can no longer, I'll just say her gender, what the heck, she can no longer live on her own. Her mind is perfectly good. It's her body that's failing her. And not where she saw her life heading, ever. It wasn't too long ago she was thinking she needed to buy a house. She knew she needed to be off the ranch. And God, that ranch is way out in the middle of nowhere. But wanted to buy a house in town, but it turns out it's for the best that she didn't do this. And it's really made me think that, yeah, there's a retirement coming. I'm going to have to cut back on things. Sooner I'll probably retire from my job. I like to think I'll continue doing this long after I retire from my job. But there will come a day. But I'm only 43. All of that's a long ways in the future. What I want to do with this channel is I want to keep trying new things. The first impressions video was one of the new things. This productivity series that's coming is another. And of course, just that incremental improvement. You know, I always, every year, try to improve my teaching. I try to improve these videos. I want to keep getting better. I don't even know that I'm in the middle of this channel's lifespan. I love getting suggestions on how to improve it. I don't care so much for the trolling. That's more boring. You know, when you get the you sound like a fag type of comments, you're like, yeah, that really didn't help at all. And you apparently don't know anything about that subgroup of humanity either, if you think you can stereotype them all with one type of voice. You know, I just get bored with that. I don't even get that emotional about them. Some of them I even ban just because, wow, you're just stupid and trolling. Negative, I don't care about that. You know, if you really need to get rid of the monotone. You need to stop stammering. You need to look at the camera once in a while. Yeah, those are things that help me and I can improve on. I'm having fun right now doing this YouTube channel. That's why, even though I thought that Inko video I did this morning was bad, I sat down, even though I've got lots and lots to do, and filmed this, because I enjoy doing videos for YouTube. I enjoy the interaction with my viewers. I just enjoy this. As long as it's fun, why not keep doing it? Yeah, I have my bad weeks where I think, my God, why do I keep doing this? Why don't I just quit? But overall, this is fun. Why do I keep teaching? Because overall, I enjoy it. Yeah, I get those days where I think, what a stupid career. Why did I waste my life like this? I could be making money. I could be accomplishing things. Instead, I'm teaching a bunch of ungrateful kids. But in the end, you get that grateful kid. You get that good experience. You remember why I became a teacher, why I chose a career where I know I'm not going to get rich. I'm not going to meet what Dan Locke would call his FU money. I remember that. At some point, I may integrate my writing into this channel. I've been working on learning Chinese. I may integrate some of that in here. I had an interesting suggestion, although I know I'm not there yet, of filming where I've used both in English and Chinese. Yeah, you know, I'm pretty sure anyone Chinese is going to listen to my Chinese talking and go. So we'll spare you from that for a while yet. And of course, all channels evolve. Whether it's improving their skill or refining their topics or changing their topics entirely over time. That's going to happen. So what does the future hold? I don't really know. But I look forward to finding out with you. So I want to thank you for watching. And I just want to say I really appreciate each and every one of my viewers. I want to say I appreciate everyone who comments. I have come to know some of you through the comments, at least in a small part of your life. I recognize certain people just by their comments. I really appreciate those who've continued to comment here, who've continued to watch here, who've put up with me through thick and thin and my various weird habits. And I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for listening to this Q&A. And although I don't really have a place where I solicit questions, I do keep track of this stuff. No, this was not a video where I had specific questions, but I put questions together to make larger themes to talk about. And so I just want to thank you for that. And as always, if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens, both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And hey, kick me off to the next Q&A whenever that happens. If you have any questions that I didn't answer or you'd like more detail, please feel free to leave your comments down below. So thank you for watching. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.